Well, hey out there, all you viewers to name later. How we doing today? I know it's been a while since we've taken a look at a book review. Today we kind of have to. This one by Tim Kennedy, Scars and Stripes, and as he puts it, an unapologetically American story of fighting the Taliban, UFC warriors, and himself, is one you really need to read. Alright, let's get all that fun stuff out of the way. As of July 10th, 2022, on Amazon hardcover, it is currently $18.49. Doesn't look, oh, yep, Prime, 1 day. And it is, what do we got here? About 400 pages with the acknowledgments and everything else at the end. Now, Tim does not pull any punches in this book. He is very straightforward about everything. As a matter of fact, it almost seems like he felt he had to be more brutal about himself telling his story. Everything from he had, the love of his life, they broke up. That night, he went out, hooked up with a girl, got her pregnant, and it ends up that his ex that they broke up, she was pregnant too. So you got that weird thing. And then you've got, she shows up, like another one shows up later on down the road and says, hey, I've got AIDS, you might want to go get tested. So here's Tim screwing up his life and possibly ending things. He's brutal about his time as a fireman. Basically his house had 3 strikes, you're out, and Tim being Tim, he got those 3 strikes really, really quick. He's also, I don't know how to phrase it. He tried to become a police officer, and he screwed it up with a paintball gun. So he couldn't get honor grad at the police academy because he had to do a retest, because he thought the way they filled out forms was stupid. So he created a whole new thing, and he turned it in, and he got a failure. But because he did it the right way, you retested. Anybody surprised? My camera. Like I was saying, how pissed off he was watching the guy walk down the stage as the honor grad. He was so pissed at himself, it's not even funny. So he joins the military. Okay. He joined as an 18 X-ray, which basically means you're going to go special forces. Normally, like when I was in, you had to go in, you had to make rank, you had to go through selection courses. They had to figure out, hey, did they want you, did they not want you? With the global war on terror, the X-ray program was born. So here are former soldiers coming back in, brand new guys coming in to help fill plugs, in the system, and Tim was an X-ray. He talks an awful lot about how during his training, they were looked upon as scum of the earth because they weren't old school army and went through everything. And I thought that was interesting to see, because I understand during training, there's hazing, there's weeding out. You've got to get rid of the weakness. But there's also, these are guys that you may be going to war with in the future. So it was weird seeing all that going on. He's so brutal in this book, it's phenomenal. I mean, just from his time training with Chuck Liddell. And he's talking about how, like, he's on his way to his first fight, and Chuck was like, a big proud parent, taking care of him, getting him through the weigh-in loss, the weight drop, making sure he ate after, making sure, oh my God, you got like a little bit of a cut, you got this, we can't let them see you, they're going to shut everything down, hiding Tim away. And it was weird how when he enlisted and he was getting ready to ship out, he went to Liddell's gym to tell them what was going on, and basically was told, hey, you got this, no problem, you're going to make it. And Tim's like, that's the first time ever in that gym where he felt he was one of the guys. And I'm like, I get it. You get those alpha male, high testosterone motherfuckers running around beating the shit out of each other. You got to prove yourself over and over and over and over and over. But the one part in here that got me, he's talking about how he had to do a resupply run to a forward operating base. And they had to go through heavily Taliban-controlled country. Now, if you've never been over there, everybody's afraid of the Taliban. All right? Everybody is. The Taliban is brutal, they're barbaric, and they operate by an ancient code. But he's talking about how they started with 80 trucks and the drivers were sabotaging their trucks so they didn't have to cross the Taliban. And just the brutality of getting from point A to point B. They started with 80 and I think they finished with 20 trucks. But just that's kind of me where the legend of Tim Kennedy really took off because of what happened during that action and the fighting that happened and how brutal Tim was and how he was racing this, to save people under fire. And as he puts it, you've got the guy in the Humvee giving him suppression fire with a 50 cal, but he's putting bullets like that far over Tim's head. And he's like, any hiccup, I would not be here. And it's weird to think, in the military, you fail to the level of your training, as we kind of call it. There is no training for close support 50 cal fire like that. You just do it. I like... How can I put this? Tim got put on my radar because of Michael Bisping. And I know Bisping's got a loud mouth, and he's a moron, and he's flamboyant, and he's everything. But it's funny how Tim's talking about, his training and helping another fighter and everything. And then it gets to that part, he goes, Michael fucking Bisping. And I love how he goes into detail about his training for Bisping, how he got Bisping to agree to the fight. Because at that point, Bisping was UFC and Tim was Strike Force, I think it was, before, they were bought, so you couldn't do that inter-company competition kind of thing. And Tim got under Bisping's skin so badly, he turned around and he goes, get a hold of Dana, set the fucking fight up. And it's just like, if you know Tim, and I don't, I've just watched interviews and everything, here's a kid that was so out of control, with hyperactivity, his parents had to duct tape him to a chair to keep him just in one spot. Tim is always moving. He's always doing something. He's always advancing himself. He's always training. And I like that. He's motivated. I actually thought he got off of active duty, period, done. And then he re-enlisted when Trump took, the White House. I didn't realize he transferred from active duty to the Texas National Guard. Because that was always making me go, okay, I get it. You're special forces. It's a whole new set of rules for you guys. How are you doing all these TV shows like Deadliest Warrior? He did another one, like another reality kind of thing. And especially Hunting Hitler, which was phenomenal. I mean, only Tim Kennedy is going to sit down on Hitler's piano and play Hava Nagila on Hitler's piano. Hunting Hitler was a great show. I believe it was on the History Channel or A&E. I think it was like their highest rated show for like 2 or 3 years running. I only remember 2 seasons. Tim was talking about the third in this book, but they wouldn't let him do what they wanted to do, which was basically start investigating secret services around the world and see how the Nazi infiltration happened in there. He's very brutal about, like, when he went to Afghanistan to save our friends. The one thing in there that incensed me, he's able to get a bunch of Americans out, get them on a bus, they're going to an airfield, and the full-bird colonel wouldn't let them get on that base. He refused entry to Americans, which, you don't do that. You don't ever do that. I like how they got Tim under control, because as he puts it, he has murderous intent in his eyes, but he's going through his connections to get on that base and get these people free. And it just killed me that the colonel is a West Pointer. One of the guys on Tim's team was a West Pointer. And those guys who went to hell on the Hudson, they have this weird connection where, like, as some books have called it, the West Point Protective Agency. They're always looking out for each other and always doing favors for each other. But he still refused this guy. So Tim gets, on the radio, he's calling in, calling him what's going on. And they're like, did you inform him about the West Pointer there? It's like, gee, wish I would have thought of that. I love how his friends were giving him crap. Like when they get everything out, they're in another country, and the Air Force guy that, when they're getting off the plane, he's like, I don't need to see your ID, you're Tim Kennedy. And all his friends are like, oh, look at Mr. Fancy Pants, look at Mr. Hollywood. Guys, this is a good read. It really, truly is a phenomenal read. It took me about a week, simply because I didn't want to rush it. I really wanted to savor what he was, putting down on paper. He tells a phenomenal story. Go get it. Seriously, I'm leaving the link down below to Amazon in the description box so you can pick it up yourself or find it at like your local bookstore or whatever. It's a good read about a good guy. It really, truly is. It's a hard-hitting thing. He's, like I said, repeatedly, he's very brutal on himself. But with that fun stuff being said, made you laugh, made you cringe, made you cry, made you do anything during this video, please hit that big old thumbs up. It's only going to help trigger the algorithm, and trust me, you really want to hit that thumbs up, or my buddy Jersey Joe's going to go out and whack another couple squirrels. Think of the squirrels, guys. Think of the squirrels. Hit that thumbs up. All right. I'm not going to do a little YouTube-y thing here on the side. Oh, matter of fact, I also want to know your questions, comments, love, hatred, anger. All that fun stuff right down below. Have you read the book? Have you met Mr. Kennedy? God, talk about like a life goal to be able to sit down and talk to him for like 5 minutes and be like, seriously? There's parts when he's reading this book, I wonder if like the inside of his head looks like a Jackson Pollock painting. He's been blown up, he's been beaten up, he's had all kinds of things happen to him, but yeah. So like I said, I'm not going to do little YouTube things here on the side, guys. You know what's already going to be there. I hope all of you are having a great day, a safe day, and we'll see all of you in our very next review.